Hello everyone, welcome back to Demon Bluff. We have Puka and then we have either a Drunk or a Plague Doctor, not both. There's our medium. Number 7 is a real gem crafter. There's our gem crafter. You say number 7 is good. Does she ever self-confirm? She's either telling the truth and she's good, or she's lying and she's lying. But then you'd also have to be lying, so I'm not sure. There are no minions. That is true. We know that for a certainty. But you could be corrupt. Well, no, you can't be. Well, yeah, you could. No, we know that's true for certainty, so we know you're good for a certainty. I am the original baker. That's good. That means this was the original baker. I was a druid. That could be true. It's not necessarily true, but it could be true. If you were a druid, then this would make this druid evil. And then you would be the adjacent evil. Oh, in fact, there's only one evil character. So evils are not adjacent to each other. That has to be true. Which means this can't be Puka. Because if this was Puka, then both of these characters would be corrupted. So we need you to find our drunk. How do we do that? There is a drunk here. This is your drunk, which means this is not a real gem crafter. Which means you were a druid. Which means this is Puka. Which means you're a real baker and you're corrupted. This is a real baker, but she's corrupted. This is a real druid. This is Puka. Maybe? There you go. Okay. We're definitely leaning more into finding a way to win rather than finding a way to prove that the board is 100% true. But we're getting there. We're on Village 7 already. So we're definitely making good headway. In this round, we're going to have a Shaman in play, Ba, and then we're going to have either a Drunk, a Plague Doctor, or a Bombardier, not all three. There's only going to be one. Additionally, there's going to be 2 copies of one of these villagers because the Shaman is in play. I wonder if it would be funny if we got 2 original bakers and then they start multiplying into more bakers. We don't have a witch, so we can kind of flip in any order here. I was a baker. That's a corruption. If she was the original baker, she would say, I am the original baker. She wouldn't say, I was a baker. That means she is corrupted. Both sides are equally evil. Okay. That would mean this card would have to be... No, it would mean this card could not be evil, so this would have to be good. Which means this would be the real Bombardier. And then there would be an evil card. There would be 1 evil card on each side. Knight. Could be the drunk, unfortunately. Or just corrupted otherwise. Both sides are equally evil. Both sides are equally evil. I think these 2 were created by the Shaman, and I think they're telling the truth, and I'm going to tell you why. Because in order for them to be lying, this character has to be evil. They can't be corrupted, they have to be evil. And then one of them has to be evil, and then the other one has to be the drunk. But then we already know that you're corrupted too. So that's spreading a lot of corruption under the board. So let's assume these characters are all good. This character is corrupted. Number 1 is a real baker. We know that's... I mean, you're either corrupted or you're evil. Trying to vouch for the other evil. 1 is evil between 2, 4, and 9. That would also be true, given the board information that we have. And then this knight would be good. So I'm going to start with the knight. This is the real knight. Okay. I really like this board state. Because the Shaman is in play, we actually know both of these architects are good. Which means that this would make their statement true about both sides being equally evil. We also know this is the real Bombardier, because there's only 1 outcast in... Well, no, because this would be the drunk. Oh, no, this wouldn't be the drunk. This would be an evil. So this would be an evil. So there would be no drunk in play. There would just be there would be 1 real Bombardier. There would be no drunk in play. These 2 would be your evils. You would be correctly seeing that there is 1 evil in this group. You have been added to the board by the Shaman, and we know that you're the real knight. I think this is the first actually good board that we got in a while. Well, not that the board is good, but that I actually logically reasoned it out in a good way. Yeah, that was a very satisfying round. Alright, we have the Chancellor and Ba, so there's a lot of potential outcasts, but we're really only going to see 2 of these. I'd love to see a Wretch, hopefully not flipped over like last time. Here we go. Between 4, 6, and 7, there is a Villager, a Minion, and an Outcast. I think you have to be corrupted or lying. Number 7 is a real judge. Because if you're telling the truth and 7 is a real judge, there would be 2 villagers. Oh, which would mean you would be telling the truth and then you would be evil. So you would be lying and all of your characters in here would be evil. Sorry, because you're lying, all 3 of these characters would have to be villagers. And then you would be lying. So you'd be either corrupted or evil. There's our Slayer. Gemcrafter says number 7 is good. That's a good vouch because it's kind of separate. Like these 2 are both vouching for this character. There's our Wretch. I love to see the Wretch. Very powerful. Wretch is always good, but always registers as evil. We could also confirm your identity. She sees the Wretch as a cabbage. So she always sees the Wretch as a cabbage if she's good. Which means she is good, the Wretch is good. That means you're lying, and then these 2 characters are both good. And that makes you good as well, which means you're... And in fact, we have 1 outcast, but then hold on, because there will be 1 additional outcast who would be created by the Chancellor, which has to be the drunk now. So there has to be a drunk on the board. So who would the drunk be? It would be the judge? No, because you're saying 7 is the real judge. Hold on a second. No, we have to find a drunk somewhere. This configuration doesn't work. We have to find a drunk somewhere. So you would be telling the truth. You would be the drunk. You would be evil. Yeah, so Villager, Outcast, Minion, other Minion, real Slayer. Okay. No, she says the Wretch is a cabbage if she's not lying. So you're lying. So you would be the drunk, and you would be the Minion? Does that still work? Yeah, Villager, Outcast, Minion, Outcast, real, Minion. I think it just flipped these positions, but I think we still have a winnable board state from here. You couldn't kill number 7. I'm not sure. What if all of these are good? No, because there has to be a drunk somewhere on the board. And he has to be next to the Chancellor. So yeah, this makes sense. This is the drunk, this is the Chancellor. This is the other Minion. You're telling the truth about the drunk being good. There's your Chancellor, there's your drunk. Or even there's your Wretch. So you have to be telling the truth now, because we know that there's a Minion here. So Villager, Minion, Outcast. This is the drunk, he's sitting next to the Chancellor. And so is the Wretch, in fact. And then because you're saying that number 7 is good, which is true, even though they're the drunk, they're still good, that means you're the other Minion. Or you're Ba. The fact that I was able to find the drunk before it got flipped over tells me that I did a better job there than I think I was doing. And we're up to 810 points. Alright, we have Puka, the Minion, and the Twin Minion. There is a potential Plague Doctor. You're 4 cards away from the closest evil. He's not the type who says equidistant, so he could be telling the truth. That means there would just be an evil card here, or even both. She would be saying, oh, hold on a second. She can't be telling the truth. If you're telling the truth, these are mutually exclusive. If you're 4 cards away from the closest evil, then there has to be an evil card here. And here. Like, for you to be good, there would have to be an evil card here and here, which would make you a liar. Or you would just be evil. 6 or 8 is a minion. Number 1 is a real hunter. There's our wretch. I love to see that wretch. Okay, so we know there's no Plague Doctor in play. And we know one of these is evil. Or corrupted. In fact, it could be something like Puka. No, this can't be Puka. Well, it could be Puka. Puka, minion, corrupted. And then there would be another minion somewhere around here. There's no corrupted characters. The only way there's no corrupted characters is if Puka is sitting between all of the other minions. So in order for this to be true, Puka would have to be here. Which means you would have to... Yeah, so Puka would have to be here, which would make you a real minion. Or Puka would have to be here, which would make you a real minion. And there could potentially be another minion over here. The druid can never see the wretch. So we'd have to have her look at other characters and then just see if she sees an outcast or not. The knight can never be corrupted under... Assuming this configuration, the knight could never be corrupted. So she's either good or evil. You would have to be lying, though, because there's no more evils left to sit in this position. Okay, so in order for this configuration to be true, you would have to be lying. Which means you would have to be evil, because you can't be sitting next to Puka. So you would have to be good. Which would mean Puka would be here, you'd be corrupted, you'd be evil, but then you'd be lying because there would be a corrupted character, so that doesn't make sense. So Puka has to be here. And then you have to be another minion. And then you have to be another minion. But that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, there's no way for there to be no corrupted characters. So you're always lying. So you're always lying. You're always lying. That means you're either corrupted or you're one of the minions or you're Puka. And there have to be corrupted characters on the board too. Which means there has to be some good characters standing next to Puka. Somewhere. Let's start with you. You see no outcast. That means you are a real druid and you're telling the truth. One of the things I do like about the druid is she can definitely self-confirm herself. Now, if she said that if she lied to us, then we wouldn't know if she was corrupted or if she was evil. But at the very least, because she did tell the truth, now we know that she's self-confirmed, which means you're definitely lying. Which means this... I almost want to say this cannot be corrupted. I think it either has to be the real knight or it has to be Puka. Also, in order for your information to be true, this would have to be a minion. Or you'd have to be corrupted by Puka, of course. I feel okay about attacking this knight. If she is corrupted, that gives us a lot of information. Okay, this is the real knight, just as I suspected. You are a minion. Goodbye. 6 or 8 is a minion. So this would be the other minion. 5 is a real lover, that's not true. But then this would have to be Puka. But then you would have to also be lying, which would make sense because you'd be next to Puka. And then you'd be telling the truth. The other configuration is that your Puka, these two are corrupted, but then you would both have to be either corrupted or lying, which doesn't work. So that doesn't work. So I think this is true. Corrupted, Puka, corrupted. No, that's the real medium. Okay. So you're lying. You're lying. This configuration works if this is the minion, you're corrupted, and you're Puka. So you're Puka. You're saying there's no corrupted characters. That's because you corrupted them. The only problem is this also works. Puka here. Corrupted here. Minion here. I should have gone for you first. That was my mistake. I just pushed myself into a 50-50. This might be our game over. So you'd be telling the truth. Or no, you'd be corrupted. You'd be Puka. You'd be corrupted. You'd be a minion. Yeah, there's no way to untangle these states anymore. I should have aimed at this character first instead of this character. That would have given me more information, but I didn't think enough steps ahead. Let's go for this one. Okay, that's Puka. So we got the right configuration. That was a straight up 50-50. We got very lucky there. That could have easily backfired on me. I have to be more careful. I have to be more thoughtful. But we're on village number 10 already. And we've got Lilis, a minion, a puppeteer, and then either a drunk or a plague doctor, not both. There's our alchemist. He claims he cured 1 corruption. If that's true, I want to start uncovering the cards near him. Lilis is 3 cards away from the closest evil. Could be true. One of you two are lying, and one of you two is telling the truth. That's pretty useful information, isn't it? That means there is a plague doctor in this game, because the drunk cannot be cured. And in fact, you're the liar, and you're the truther. And if you cured 1 corruption, then this character can't be corrupted, they have to be evil. I'm gonna send this. I think this has to be true. Yeah, there's your puppeteer. If this is the puppet, then Lilis has to be here or here. So we're not gonna flip either of those cards. If this is the puppet, then we don't know anything about this. Other than the fact that, well, it can't be corrupted either, so it would just be a liar. So maybe it would be Lilis. So like Lilis, puppeteer, puppet, something like that. But if this is telling the truth, then Lilis has to be here or here. So we're going to leave those cards unflipped. There's our Plague Doctor. We know this is the real Plague Doctor. Okay, see, okay, yeah, so Lilis hit this card, which means Lilis can still be here. So let's start flipping the other cards first. You're a straight up liar as well. Oh, hold on a second. Why are you saying that you also cured 1 corruption? There's no shaman in this game. Did I get the weird configuration where all of them disguise themselves as alchemists again? I hope not. What if one of these alchemists is corrupted and he's lying? It'd be very difficult to tell. We know this character is good. These characters are either good or lying, or they're both evil. Let's look at the situation where they're both evil. You have to be lying, and you have to be the puppet, which means you have to be telling the truth. But that doesn't make sense. You have to both be lying, but he has to have an honest character next to him, so these two can't both be evil. So one is good and one is corrupted. Unfortunately, we don't know which one is corrupted, and we can't discern that information because the Plague Doctor just hits at random. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Let's flip this card. Number 5 is good. I mean, maybe. Could be true. Okay, we know you're good. I almost feel like this is what we have. But then this doesn't make sense because one of these two has to be lying. And in fact, then you would also have to be lying. Or both of these two would also have to be lying. But that doesn't make sense because the puppet always tells the truth. So there has to be an evil character in here. So it'd be something like No, there has to be a corrupted... There has to be a corrupted good character in here, or just like a straight up evil that's not the puppet. But there has to be a puppet in play. So one of these has to be telling the truth. One of these has to be telling... Hold on a second. One of these cards must be telling the truth. They have to be. Because one of them has to be the puppet. Because we know that there are 4 evils in play. So one of them has to be the puppet, and one of them has to be telling the truth. So Lilis has to be here or here. If Lilis is here, then you're also evil. And then both sides are equally evil is true, but then you'd be the puppet. Or you'd just be like a regular good card. You would have cured some kind of corruption from one of these characters. Like maybe from this scout. So maybe the Plague Doctor hit the scout, and then you cured them. And then this is the puppet, which is evil. And if that's true, you would be able to see all of these characters as evil. I love the Jester so much. I love the Jester so much. I think this is true. I think this is true. Now, you're going to say the Jester's not corrupted? Okay, if I'm wrong, then the Jester is evil, and then that's going to completely flip the board over. But I think I'm right here. The only problem is I don't know which of... Well, I do know which of these is the puppet, because you just saw he was evil. There's your puppet. There's your minion. And this is Lilis. She's 3 cards away from this minion. Oh, I unlocked a new Lilis skin. Cool. So this board is going to be really fun because we have a witch in play, which means there's going to be hidden information. And then on top of that, if we don't see an outcast, it could either be the doppelganger or the drunk, or it could even be a flipped over bombardier. So this one's going to be a little bit tough to make sense of, but let's get it work on it. Okay, so this could be a real bombardier. One is evil between 1, 2, and 5. All right, let's flip over 5. If you're lying, all of your characters would be good. Cured 0 corruptions. That is definitely true, so you're definitely a real alchemist. Which means you're definitely lying. So all of the characters in your information are good. So these are all good, for sure. You're lying, you could be evil or drunk. One is evil between 1, 4, and 7. Could be true. No character was affected by any evil. Can that possibly be true? There's no puppet in play. The drunk was not corrupted by evil. They were just corrupted by their own good power. Villagers, no villagers were turned into outcasts. Nobody was cloned by the shaman. Nobody was killed by evil. I actually think this witness has to be good. Because there's no abilities that could affect any evil characters, which means there's no evil abilities that could affect any characters on this map. So the witness has to be telling the truth, which means he has to be the real witness. Which would make you either you're good and you're a liar, or you're good and you're evil. I'm not sure which yet. Let's link those two together. Unfortunately, I don't see a great way to choose which card to flip last, so I'm just going to flip this one. You think number 5 is good, you would be telling the truth. So you would be evil. I don't see any evidence that there's a doppelganger in play. If there is, she's under here. And then this would be an evil character disguised as a bombardier. That would be nasty, but I've seen worse. So it could be true. That could be what we're seeing here. I'm pretty sure these two are good. I'm fairly sure these two are good, which actually means this one is definitely good too. So we're really just trying to unpack what's going on down here in the most effective way possible. There has to be 3 evil characters. There's one in here and there's one in here. That would make you evil. but I don't want to waste an attack or a kill on something I can't see. I'd rather waste it on something that I can see. One is evil between 1, 2, and 5. You would definitely be the evil one. So let's do this. That's perfect. That means you're evil. 1 is evil between 1, 4, and 7. Yeah, I doubt it. Now we can flip the last card. It's a knight. No, it's not. It's Ba. Ha 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 ha. Nice. I think we cleared that one in a pretty clean way. Ooh, a nice full village, 9 people. I actually like the villages that have 10 people in them. We have 1 outcast, 2 minions, and 1 demon. Our demon is Ba. We have a puppeteer and a twin minion. That actually means we're going to have 4 villagers, 1 outcast, 3 minions, and 1 demon, because we're going to have a puppet in play. I would like to see a plague doctor or a bombardier. There's our poet. 1 is evil between 1, 2, and 3. Druid, enlightened, and slayer. That means if you're lying, all of the characters in your information is good, which would make all 3 of these good, which would make you the drunk. That's the only way that could the only way this can possibly be true is if this is the drunk. So you would be good, these 2 would be good, and you would be the drunk. You cured 2 corruptions. Well, I find that very hard to believe because there's only one source of corruption on the map that can be cured. So you're always lying, so then you'd be the drunk. You cured 2 corruptions. I find that very hard to believe. So then you would be lying, so then you would be the drunk. Number 6 was affected by an evil. What? Oh, you're the puppet. You're the puppet. This is the puppeteer. Yeah, this is the puppeteer. I feel confident. Pretty confident this is the puppeteer. This is the puppeteer. This is the puppet. Because the puppet admits that he's corrupted, affected by an evil. That he was turned into a puppet. Because he always tells the truth. Number 9 is good. So you would vouch for this. And then these 2 would be evil. This would be the drunk. This configuration does work. It relies on this character being good. I couldn't kill number 7. Okay. So this board state is wrong. The board state that I have set up is definitely wrong. So let's start unpacking it. Now we have new information. You are either drunk or evil, in which case you 2 cannot be telling the truth. So if you're telling the truth, you would be evil, and then you 2 would have to be good, but then you'd have to be the drunk, which kind of still works. I think, maybe. Or you could just be corrupted by the plague doctor. But if that's true, no, because then you would have, well, then you would be the evil one. So you would be evil, you'd be telling the truth, you would be evil. You would be corrupted by the plague doctor. Then these 2 would be evil. And then you would have to be the puppet. So puppeteer, puppet, and then 2 other evils here and here. You'd be corrupted by the plague doctor. You'd be good, which is true, and then you would be good. In order for this board state to be true, you would have to be able to see this corruption, which you can see, and you can also accurately predict that number 6 is evil. So this board state looks viable. I'm going to try unpacking it now. If this is the puppet, it's a really good sign. That's your puppet. Puppeteer. Twin minion. And this would be, I think, Ba. Awesome. I like how the Slayer and the Plague Doctor work together to sort of verify each other's identities. That's pretty funny. And I think that's a really good place to stop. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And for now, enjoy the rest of your day.